I wasn't expecting the email. It came on a Wednesday, mid-afternoon. One of those reminder to review your credit activity alerts I normally delete without reading. But something about it caught my eye. Maybe it was the unusually high balance. Maybe it was the fact that I hadn't opened a new account in years. So I clicked it, and then I stopped breathing. There it was, a line item from a luxury bridal boutique in Pennsylvania. $4,832.46. Not pending. Cleared. And another one right beneath it. Alterations. $690. Same day. Same card. Same store I'd never set foot in. I refreshed the page. Twice. My stomach didn't. I stared at the screen, hoping it would all dissolve. Maybe some kind of glitch. Identity theft. Anything but what it looked like. But deep down I knew. There was only one other person who had access to that card. The same person who used to joke about planning ahead every time we passed a wedding dress display. The same person who once asked for my social, just in case we ever do joint taxes. The same person I lived with for almost 3 years. Jessica. She was the reason I even had that card. Opened it to help cover furniture when we moved in. She insisted it made sense to keep it active, just for emergencies. I trusted her with it. Trusted her with a lot more than that. And now it was paying for a wedding. But not ours. Because I hadn't proposed. And I sure as hell wasn't invited. I sat there, completely still, while everything around me carried on like nothing had happened. The neighbor's lawnmower buzzed in the distance. The refrigerator kept humming. The fan in the corner gently rotated back and forth. But I couldn't hear any of it. My focus was locked on a screen that felt like it had just rewritten the story of my life. That wedding dress charge wasn't alone. When I opened the full transaction history, I found a trail. Deposits to a wedding venue, a florist, a caterer. Every charge was like a breadcrumb, leading straight to someone else's celebration. Only none of those charges belonged to me. And definitely not to us. I hadn't proposed. We weren't planning a wedding. We weren't even discussing one. Or so I thought. The boutique was the first call I made. I used a calm voice, pretended to be the fiancé, and they were all too happy to talk. They confirmed the purchase, the scheduled pickup, even offered to re-steam the dress for her big day. The woman on the phone added that Jessica had come in with her sister, smiling from ear to ear. Said she looked radiant. Said she seemed like someone truly in love. I ended the call without another word. My hands were trembling, but my mind had gone cold. It wasn't just betrayal. It was how smooth it all was. Like this had been in motion for a while. A full plan, mapped out and executed, while I sat across the table every day thinking we were on the same page. Apparently, that page was blank, and she'd already turned it. I opened Instagram. Her profile was private. She hadn't posted in weeks. But her friends were another story. That's where I found it. A tagged story from someone I barely remembered meeting. A champagne toast. A hand holding a wedding invitation. The names printed across the top were crystal clear. Jessica and Aaron. Not me. Not us. Not a mistake. Aaron. That was the man she was marrying. The man she had been planning a future with. While living with me. While spending my money. While signing my name to loans I never approved. I started collecting everything. Screenshots. Profile pictures. Story clips. A folder on my desktop labeled simply Justice. I didn't scream. I didn't call her. I didn't drive to her new place. No, I was going to do this right. Because people like Jessica thrived on drama. If I confronted her without preparation, she'd twist the story. She'd call me possessive, crazy, jealous. She'd make it seem like I was trying to ruin her happiness out of spite. So I didn't give her that chance. Instead, I quietly began building the case that would take her happiness apart piece by piece. I spent the next day in full silence. No texts. No phone calls. I didn't eat much. I didn't sleep either. What I did do was log everything. I started with the credit report. I pulled the full file and combed through it line by line. There it was, the application for the card increase, the added authorized user, the address update. All made within the past 3 months. All matched to my information. Except I hadn't done any of it. She had. She used my name, my social security number, my trust. She'd moved faster than I ever imagined. She hadn't just stolen my money. She'd stolen my identity. Not metaphorically. Not emotionally. Literally. I printed every document. Not because I needed hard copies, but because holding them in my hands made it real. Tangible. I needed that. From there, I dug deeper. She had used my card to pay a wedding deposit at a vineyard upstate. The florist was local. I called them all, one by one, using a mix of polite lies and careful language to get confirmations. Every charge matched her timeline. Every vendor remembered her. Most thought I was the groom. I wasn't. Then came Aaron. His profile was unlocked. I don't know if it was arrogance or ignorance, but his page was wide open. I found gym selfies, vacation reels, quotes about loyalty pasted over beach photos. He looked exactly like the kind of guy who would accept a story without questioning the source. The kind of guy who would buy whatever she told him, and never ask who paid for the down payment. I took screenshots of everything. Then I did something I wasn't proud of. I logged into the old laptop Jessica used to borrow sometimes. We hadn't shared passwords officially, but I'd never logged out. There, in the cloud, I found her emails, wedding planning threads, invoices, PDF contracts, even a bridal checklist she had exported from Pinterest. And at the bottom of one of the email threads, my name was signed under a form. Digitally. I didn't remember signing anything. Because I didn't. She had forged it. Now I had more than suspicions. I had evidence. Time-stamped, screen-captured, printable, provable evidence. So I contacted a lawyer. I didn't go to the police. Not yet. I wanted someone who knew how to apply pressure in the right places. Someone who could explain what identity theft meant in terms of civil consequences. Someone who could draft letters that made people panic. We talked for 2 hours. He was shocked, but not surprised. Said stories like mine happen more often than people thought. Told me I had a strong case. Then he asked the question I had been avoiding since this began. Do you want to press charges? I didn't answer him right away, because in that moment I realized something. This wasn't just about getting back what she took. This was about showing her that silence wasn't the same as weakness. The lawyer moved quickly. Within 48 hours, he had drafted and sent a formal cease and desist letter, addressed to Jessica, outlining the charges: identity theft, fraud, and unauthorized use of personal information. He'd also included notice of intent to press charges if immediate action wasn't taken. I didn't send it from my email. I wanted no direct contact with her. The letter came through his office, certified mail, signed for on arrival. Just business. Just paper. No emotion. Let her read it with shaking hands. But that was only the first part. While she was hopefully reading the letter and realizing she was in real legal trouble, I moved on to Aaron. I had no idea what kind of person he was, and honestly, I didn't care. All I needed him to know was the truth. Not Jessica's truth, but the kind that comes with timestamps and PDFs. So I created a flash drive. It had everything. Screenshots of the charges, the forged signature, the email chains, even a screen-recorded walkthrough of the credit portal showing her actions under my name. I didn't include commentary. No dramatic voiceover. Just evidence. I printed a single note and folded it into the envelope with the flash drive. Since she forgot to mention it, I figured you deserved to know who really paid for the dress. I mailed it to his apartment. Not anonymously. It came from the lawyer's office too. No one could say I harassed or threatened. This was just disclosure. Legal, documented, undeniable. Then I waited. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was alive. Tense. Every hour without a reaction was another crack forming beneath her perfect little wedding plan. I pictured the moment he opened that envelope, plugged in the flash drive, and started clicking through. One image at a time. One receipt after another. I imagined her reaction when he confronted her. Her attempt to spin it. Her excuses. Her collapse. And I wasn't there for any of it. That was the beauty. I didn't show up to scream or demand closure. I let the truth walk through the front door with documentation in hand. Then came the fallout. 2 days later, her sister posted a photo of a table full of uneaten cake samples with the caption, "What a waste." No more wedding hashtags. No more countdown posts. Then Jessica's profile went dark. Comments turned off. Posts deleted. She didn't block me. She didn't reach out. She didn't get the chance. Because I wasn't done yet. I watched it unfold from the quiet safety of distance. A relationship disintegrating. A wedding vanishing like smoke. Vendors posting last-minute cancellation offers. Friends scrubbing their congratulatory comments. It was almost poetic. But it still wasn't enough. The legal wheels were in motion. My lawyer had filed an identity theft report with the credit bureau, and we submitted formal fraud claims to the credit card company. The charges were frozen, the account locked. Jessica would now be required to prove she had permission to use my identity. She wouldn't be able to. The dress wasn't refundable. The venue deposit was non-transferable. The florist had already ordered custom arrangements based on her specs. And now, with the wedding officially off, all those costs weren't just sad remnants of a dream. They were her financial problem. Debt has a sound. It's quieter than heartbreak, more persistent than rage. It lives in collection calls, late fees, and credit scores falling like autumn leaves. That sound was coming for her now. I didn't feel triumphant. This wasn't revenge served hot and dramatic. It was slow, methodical erosion. A consequence she built for herself, one lie at a time. I didn't gloat. I didn't post. I didn't tell mutual friends. I just kept moving forward. I changed every password, locked down every account, pulled my full financial history, flagged every oddity. I scheduled calls with banks and set alerts on every line tied to my name. The sad part was, if she had just asked for help, financial or otherwise, I probably would have given it. Maybe not a wedding dress, but support? Stability? A place to breathe? Yes. I was never the villain she tried to create. She built that character because she needed a reason to justify what she already planned to do. People like that don't ask. They just take. She didn't know that when you forge a future with someone else's name, the real owner can still come collect. That collection had only started. By the time the dust started settling, I had stopped checking her pages. Not because I didn't care. I just didn't need to anymore. I had all the closure I could ever ask for, and it didn't come from a confrontation, a dramatic text, or a final bitter fight. It came from the quiet knowledge that every piece she tried to build with stolen parts had crumbled on its own. The credit bureau confirmed the fraud case was accepted. All charges were reversed, and the file was sealed with her name tied to the investigation. Her name, not mine. Her fingerprints were all over the digital trail. My lawyer filed a civil claim shortly after. It wasn't just about the money. It was about accountability. She'd cost me time, stress, and temporary damage to my credit standing. That mattered. And now, so would she in court. She didn't contest it. I doubt she could afford to. According to public records, the wedding venue filed a collections complaint against her for breach of contract. The bridal shop sent a certified letter demanding payment. The catering company wrote her off with a loss and moved on. I didn't gloat. I didn't even smile. But I did sleep. I hadn't realized how long it had been since I truly rested. That first night after the last confirmation came in, that my name was cleared, that my identity was safe, I closed my laptop and fell asleep without checking the locks 3 times. There's a strange kind of peace in knowing someone else finally has to carry the weight of what they did. In knowing you don't have to carry it anymore. The last thing I did, I closed the folder titled Justice. I didn't delete it. I just didn't need to open it again, because she was still living inside it, and I had finally stepped out. A few weeks later, an envelope showed up at my old apartment. No return address. Just my name, printed in clean, familiar handwriting. Inside was an invitation. Not to a wedding. To mediation. She wanted to resolve this privately. No lawyer. No court. Just her version of damage control. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to discuss. No misunderstanding to clear. No apology to consider. She had made her decisions. I had made mine. And now she had to live in the world she built. Without me in it. I never saw her again. No angry voicemail. No desperate message begging to talk. Just silence. She vanished the same way she used to lie, subtly, cleanly, without apology. Her number sat blocked, her emails unread, her existence reduced to paperwork and archived screenshots. I sometimes wonder what she tells people now. What version of the story she spins to friends, to family, to Aaron if he's still around. Does she pretend it was a misunderstanding? Blame stress? Act like the legal notices were just formalities? None of it matters. Because here's what I learned. Closure isn't always a conversation. Sometimes it's just the absence of noise. No apology. No face-to-face. Just the stillness of moving on without needing anything from the person who broke you. She tried to start a future using my identity. I reclaimed mine and left hers behind. Now, when I think of her, it's not with anger. It's with distance. Like remembering a stranger I once met at a wrong time in my life. Someone who taught me that trust isn't something you give blindly. And that silence can be the loudest way to win.